Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We apologize for the tardiness on our end, but we are very glad to have you here. Welcome to today's session. We will be covering how to navigate the EAC MRH recommendation and ensuring you get an approval at the national level, sharing the experiences at the national level and of the different countries involved. This is a continuation of the first session that we had, and I will be your moderator for the day. My name is Dr. Lucy Machocho. I'm a pharmacist and technical programs assistant here at African Pharmaceutical Network. So today's session is a follow-up to the session that we had last week, where we were doing a guide to EAC MRH registration pathway. And during the session, Diana Mark took us through the entire process, application process from start to finish, the benefits, eligibility criteria as well. And today we'll continue with the conversation and learn about the in-country process of adopting this approval from the EAC MRH. So before we even get to the session, I'd want us to have some housekeeping rules. And as I'm doing the housekeeping rules, please let us know, use the chat to let us know where you're joining us from, who you are, and if possible, share your LinkedIn so that we can be able to connect with you further after this, because this is a forum where we are also trying to network and get to understand who is in the meeting with us, what do they do, and how can their work complement to the work that you already have going on. So in the housekeeping rules, please note that the session today is recorded, and the recording plus all the materials that will be used in the session will be shared with you afterwards. You will have noticed that your microphones and videos are off, and this is to minimize any background noise and ensure a smooth session throughout. You can use the chat to network, as I've mentioned. You can comment and also ask questions as the presenters go about making their presentations. And for the Q&A, there's also a Q&A section where you can ask questions. And as you're engaging, please be respectful. In case you have any technical challenges, do reach out to us and let us know how we can be able to support you. And in case you have any feedback regarding this session or any other sessions that we've had before, or maybe in the future, you'd want us to cover something that you're having a challenge with at your workplace, send that feedback to us at the email secretariat at africanpharmanetwork.net. And for today's session, so I'll briefly share an overview of how the program will look like. We have 5 presenters. And after the 5 presenters, we'll have a panel discussion where we'll be able to ask our questions regarding the topic. So the 5 presenters, we have Julia Sotim. We'll start with Julia Sotim from EAC, and then go to Diana from Tanzania Medicines and Drug Authority, go to Robert from Uganda National Drug Authority, Sabrina from Zanzibar, and then finish off with Dan Moin from Pharmacy and Poisons Board. And then at the panel discussion, we'll have 2 more speakers. We have an additional speaker from TMDA, that is Falchisim, and someone representing the GMP department of the EAC MRH. And with that, I'd like my colleague to introduce my colleague, Juliet, to do an introduction, a quick introduction to African Pharmaceutical Network, and then we'll be able to kick off the session. Juliet, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lucy, for that introduction. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining us from. My name is Juliet Ouma. I am the Programs Assistant at African Pharmaceutical Network. And it's a pleasure to have each and every one of you join us for this industry discussion forum. So I'll quickly take us through the overview of our organization, APN, the work we do, and why we exist. So APN is a pan-African network that brings together stakeholders, that is professionals and stakeholders and organizations working within Africa's pharmaceutical industry for the purpose of knowledge sharing, policy shaping, innovation nurturing partnerships, leading towards ensuring reliable access to quality, safe and effective health products and technologies in Africa. And this is particularly for the African people. So as the name is, It's a pan-African network. It is not only restricted to those who are within Africa, though. If you'd like to join us in the work that we are doing, and your organization or the place where you practice is not within Africa, then our doors are also open to you. But our main aim is so that we can improve the lives of African people, and this is by ensuring that they have access to quality, safe, and effective health products. So why do we exist as an organization? We exist as an organization because we had the desire to address three key concerns. So while APN was established in the backdrop of COVID-19 in 2020, we had three main objectives that we wanted to address. And this is limited local manufacturing in Africa, which is attributed to capacity shortfalls in the continent. So in the work that we do, while we want to boost local manufacturing in Africa, there are key reasons that are showing the reasons as to why we are in the place where we are at today. And having known the problems that we are encountering, then how can we find the solutions so that we can be able to improve and be able to ensure that the future that we are going towards and working towards is going to be a better future. Without good local manufacturing, then we are putting the lives of our own people at risk. Most of the times, we often depend on donors. We depend on imports. These kinds of things continue to bring us back. But if we can develop ourselves, if we can boost our local manufacturing, then we can make it better for the business within Africa and for the people within Africa. Another key concern that was very critical for us was the segregated and disjointed pharmaceutical systems. When we see the different fields within the pharmaceutical industry, we have supply chain, the healthcare, we have manufacturing, we have regulatory. Oftentimes, they often work in isolation. But as African Pharmaceutical Network, we came together and we decided that instead of having these different fields and sectors working in isolation, can we come together and ensure that our pharmaceutical system is unified, that we can work together to solve the problems that we have? If there is an issue in the pharmaceutical supply chain sector, that same issue will affect those who are working within the healthcare system. If, as a pharmacist, I am not able to have access to medicines in a timely manner for my patients because of poor supply chain systems, it could also be affected because of regulatory policies, then how can we solve these issues? If we come together, then we are able to work towards a common goal. Therefore, APN exists as a pan-African network to address this challenge by offering collaboration and integration across these various sectors. And by doing this, we not only work towards a unified and an aligned goal, but we also ensure that every initiative that we bring forward is for an optimized maximum impact within the industry. The third reason was the fact that there was lack of a single common platform to convince stakeholders to chart a path for the future of the industry. While we offer this particular platform, and this can be seen within the work that we are doing today, in this call, we not only have regulators. In this call, we not only have healthcare professionals. In this call, we not only have policymakers. We have different individuals who are working different paths, who have come on board on a common platform so that we may work through something that is going to ensure that there is continuity, that there is stabilization within the industry. And this is by you contributing, sharing your ideas with us, helping our regulators. And through this platform, we are able to boost the work that we have within the industry and ensure that all our people within the different countries, that they are able to have reliable access to safe, quality, and effective health products. So this is our mission, that we ensure reliable access to safe, effective, and quality health products and technologies in Africa. And we do this through strategic investments in the pharmaceutical workforce development, because this is very key. Without the right capacity, without the right talent, then the work will not be done. The work being done is as good as the person doing it. Is our pharmaceutical workforce development enabled? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the training, the skills, and everything that is required for us to continue to thrive? Then we have the business ecosystem support services. You are here, you would require LTR services. You want to bring your product into Kenya and you are in Ethiopia. How would you do it? You want to bring your product into Uganda. How would you do it. And how would you do it easily? We are here to also ensure that we continue to support organizations within the industry, different organizations, so that their services and their businesses continue to thrive and the patients also continue to get their medicines in good timing. We also do this through policy shaping interventions. Is there a policy that is coming up? How will it affect the people? How will it affect the business? We also get ourselves involved in these kinds of work so that everything that is being done, it is for benefit and not for a disadvantage. So our vision, reliable access to quality, safe and effective medicines and health technologies in Africa. So these are our values as an organization. We do have our values, but I'll only speak on the first one, that at the core of the work we do is humanity. If I can care about the person seated next to me, if I can care about the person who is going to receive my product, then I will not bring a product that is low quality. I will not bring a product into the market that will cause harm to anyone. At the core of everything, there is humanity. Who am I as a human being? How does my well-being and my life that I live today affect the next person, and how does it affect the future generations? So this has been our journey since 2020. APN was established in 2021. We got to sign industry partnerships with different kinds of organizations. In 2022, we were able to sign up an agreement with Empower School of Health. And this is also because of the kind of work that we are also doing in the pharmaceutical workforce development pillar, that we are offering trainings to professionals within the industry so that they can be able to have the right training, the right skill, and have the ability to do the work, not just to do it, but to do it creatively and proactively. Then in 2023, we launched the Pharmacy Academy. Initially, we had one course while we were beginning in 2021. We had the Regulatory Affairs course, but coming into 2023, we decided to make it bigger, that we won't only address something that is very specific, only one issue, but we also want to be able to empower other fields as well. So in 2024, we were able to scale up and we added 2 new courses, the pharmacovigilance training and the supply chain management training. So these are the services that we offer as an organization under the pharmaceutical workforce development pillar, the regulatory support services, the business ecosystem support, and policy shaping partnerships. We have an advisory board composed of 3 individuals. We have John Paul Omolo, Kirti Nasai, and Dr. Olisayanam McDonald. We also have a management team in the able hands of our curator, Dr. Odhiambo David, and this is the team as you can see. And my colleague Lucy is also in this call with me. You can see her there, myself, and Thomas, the rest of us. So if you are engaging with us, we are also a membership network. If you'd like to join our network, you can sign up as a member, as an individual member, as a student, and also as an institutional member where you get to join as an organization. So we have different categories to suit you where you are. And you will not be limited to the benefits that you will get should you choose to sign up as an individual, an organization, or as a student. So under the Pharmacy Academy, these are the courses that we offer. Currently, all our cohort 1 courses did kick off in January, and we are nearing towards the end of those training programs. But we have cohort 2 courses rolling out as from May. So if you'd like to train with us, we welcome you to sign up, register, and train for regulatory affairs with us, train for supply chain management with us, or even pharmacovigilance and patient safety. Who are our partners? We have IPMA, FIP, H3D Foundation, Bloom Public Health, Swiss Empower, African Pharmaceutical Forum, Reculture, and the SPAC. And we are definitely looking forward to signing up more partnerships with other organizations. In early this year, we're able to sign up a partnership with ISOC Chapter Africa. So if you'd like to sign up a partnership with us and continue to engage with us, we do welcome you to share your ideas with us, and then we will see how we can engage with you. So how can you engage with us? You can become a member, you can partner on projects with us, or you can learn with us. And with that, I've come to the end of my presentation, and I want to wish you all a lovely afternoon, even as you continue to learn with us in this interesting discussion forum with our panelists. Thank you so much, and Lucy, over to you.
Thank you so much, Juliet. For those that have just joined us, thank you so much for joining us. So we'll quickly move on to the first presenter, that is Dr. Julius Otim. And I would also like to give a heads up that today's session, due to the nature of how the session is structured, we might be going a bit over the 1 hour and 30 minutes allocated for the webinar. So kindly bear with us, but hopefully it wouldn't get to an entire 2 hours. So I will quickly introduce the first speaker for the day. That is Dr. Julius Otim. He is an accomplished health professional and legal scholar with over 2 decades of experience in public health, health policy, and health systems management. He holds multiple advanced degrees, including Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery, a Bachelor of Laws and a Master in Public Health, an MBA and a postgraduate diploma in project planning and management. Currently, he serves as the Senior Health Officer for Medicines and Food Safety at the East African Secretariat in Arusha, a position he has held since 2022. He has previously managed public health initiatives in Uganda as Manager of Epidemiology and Disease Control at the Kampala Capital City Authority from 2021 to 2022, and as Child Health Advisor for the World Bank-funded Reproductive, Maternal and Neonatal Child and Adolescent Health Project from 2018 to 2022. He has held leadership roles with Maristops International, the Malaria Consortium, and Kumi District Local Government. His areas of expertise include public health, health law, health system strengthening, disaster prevention, and medicines regulation. With a strong background in both medical practice and health policy, Dr. Otim is dedicated to improving health systems and advancing public health across Africa. Dr. Otim, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I want to express my appreciation to African Pharmaceutical Network for bringing us together. I struggled to join in, but I'm happy that the system didn't embarrass me and left me out. So I'm grateful for that. So I'm supposed to speak for just, I think, 7 minutes. And I'm supposed to just give an overview of the MRH program of the EAC. I'm struggling to browse. If it is easy for you to screen from your side, I would be happy that I would not lose time and I would just speak through it.
That's all right. Let me see. Juliet, are you able to bring up the slide? All right. So the slides are coming up.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's not the one. Let me see if I can get it from my end. I'm bringing it up right now.
Should be having yes, I think this is the one. So thank you very much for screening this. So I think there are a number of slides, but the ones I'm going to speak through are a few. So that is Misha has already introduced to me, and you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so just to let you know that the East African community has been growing, and currently we have those countries indicated there. So we have Somalia, we have Kenya, the Republic of Kenya, Republic of Uganda, Republic of South Sudan, Republic of Burundi, the Republics of Rwanda, United Republic of Tanzania, and then the Democratic Republic of Congo. Not forgetting the regulatory authority of the Zanzibar, which is part of the United Republic of Tanzania. So as you can see, it's really a very big region now. And when we talk about access to medicine, it means that we are really looking at a very big number of people. And of course, within this, we note that there are some countries with a lot of refugee needs for a number of reasons. Some of the countries are better off, but some of them are worse off. But of course, it's our responsibility to see that access to medicine and the health is improved across the board. Go to the next one. Yeah, so this is just a highlight of all the main joint regulatory activities: joint dose evaluations, joint GMP inspections, post-market surveillance, pharmacovigilance, and the capacity building. We also have a joint inspection of clinical sites. But I must say that because of dependency on partners, sometimes we have constraints, and then you find that not all these dimensions are as effective as we would have loved to. I think I would say that the most effective activity which we have been doing jointly has been joint dose evaluations and then the joint GMP inspections. The other areas who have not been very keen, but have the technical people and the technical working groups on it. But because of the challenge of funding, it has not been as robust as would have loved it to be. So the next one. So I tried here to summarize the program activity. The work of joint medicines regulation is backed by the law under Article 118, Chapter 21, where the partner countries of the EAC are supposed to do joint regulatory activities, including having harmonized guidelines, harmonized standards. And there is a list of the national medicines regulatory authorities. Brema from Burundi, that's an abbreviation, PPB, the Farmers and Poisons Board of Kenya, Rwanda FDA Food and Drug Authority, DFCA South Sudan, NDA Uganda, ACREP from DRC, TMD, and ZFDA from the United Republic of Tanzania. As I mentioned, that there are two authorities. Currently, we have Somalia, which is a new member, and it's not yet they don't have a regulatory authority. They are just operating as a department within the Ministry of Health. Within this, I'm also proud to say that we have two regulatory authorities which have achieved a maturity level 3, that is TMDA, and then Rwanda FDA, and we're very happy about it, especially Rwanda FDA demonstrated that it's possible to achieve a lot because they are one of the young regulatory authorities established around 2018, and by now they are at the maturity level. We're also hopeful that the Republic of Kenya, PPB, and NDA will soon be at maturity level 3. This is specifically important, especially looking at what we hope to do in terms of manufacture of vaccines. It's really important that we have our regulatory authorities reach maturity level 3. Then, of course, we're talking about harmonization, the EAC common technical document, same standards, guidelines. So all this you see here was developed using the experts from the National Medicines Regulatory Authority, and we try to see that all these are universally applied across the different countries. Of course, the levels of application are different. You find that some of the countries apply some of these standards better than others. Then also I've highlighted that a number of partners which have been supporting this process: WHO, SysMedic, UDNEP, Bill and Melinda Gates, World Bank, DFID, USAID, and GIZ. And the focus is real access to safe, efficacious, and quality medicines by what? Patients. And not just access, but timely access, because you can access, but we really try to focus and see that the issue of timely access is really enhanced. And of course, now this MRH program, as you'll be able to see later, we want to see that there's efficiency and the streamlined use of resources to enable scientific regulatory decisions as quick as possible, and to minimize administration hurdles, and also to increase reliance based on harmonized regulatory requirements, so that there is timely access to effective, safe, and quality medicines. Go to the next one. And then also on this one, you can be able to see the number of applications, the number of medicines which have been approved for market authorization. Go to the next one. Yes, and then just to see the other dimension in terms of registration at the country level, the number of medicines so far registered, because as from the program, once we do the joint regulatory activities and we make a recommendation for registration of medicines, now the applicants have the liberty to go to the individual countries and then they register medicines. And you'll notice that there is also dynamics within the country, and you find that the number of days which it takes for the countries to register medicine is varied. And usually we try to discuss and say, of course, this is not necessarily a problem of the regulatory authority. Sometimes we find that it's also a problem of the applicants when they delay to respond to some of the queries and the requirements which they are often asked to submit. Go to the next one. Yeah, so like I'd said, just to highlight some of the benefits of the program: streamlined regulatory approach, one submission, one scientific review. We are looking for, at the moment, we do common mapping. If we find applications more than one country, then we take up that application and we take it through the EAC process. But generally, what we know is that, of course, this is a choice for the applicants. What we know is that if someone is willing to market medicines across all the countries, it is fairer and it's more cost-effective, and it is more efficient for someone to submit an application is worked through. And then when you get that recommendation, then you go to the individual countries. But I must also highlight that it's really an aspect of choice. For example, if somebody wants to do marketing in only one country, might opt to go to that specific country. But for someone who needs to market in more than one country, it's really more efficient and more effective for somebody to go through the EAC process, so that you'll be able to get your authorization, and then use that authorization to go and market the medicine across the countries. And also within this, one of the most important things is that when you have not highlighted all the activities. For example, we have a program where we're also planning to strengthen the local manufacturing capacity. And just to give an example, we trained some of the technical staff from the local manufacturers. We had a training in Rwanda last year. So within the 7 minutes, I may not be able to highlight all the initiatives we have. We're also working on a law to see that once medicines are manufactured within East Africa, the country should be able to procure that medicine as a priority. Unless there's a genuine reason, they should not be able to procure such medicine from outside the region, as if it is properly produced manufactured within the East African region. So there are so many initiatives, but I'm just giving you kind of just a highlight. Got the next one? Then just to highlight the challenge, last year on the 15th of May, the funding which we have ended. And definitely, like many other programs which we are running, there's a challenge of funding. Of course, now we also do appreciate the changing landscape in terms of international funding, especially in relation to the decisions and the directives which the President of America is giving, Donald Trump. For example, we had a lot of work we're doing, but some of our partners are not able to continue that work because the funding was cut. Then long timelines of registration. Now on this one, we decided to develop a client charter together with our pharmaceutical partners. And within that charter, we have a commitment to adhere to certain timelines. So that should be what should be guiding us. And what we normally do, we try to engage partners. We normally do engage the pharma industry so that we can be able to address these issues of timelines, because we know that for them, they are doing business. So the aspect, once somebody has submitted an application, they would want medicine to access the market as soon as possible. Then we're also looking at, once we develop one, we're in the process of developing our integrated information systems. And we want to see that, of course, right now we are using the lead countries for both registration and GMP. But eventually what we're looking forward to is to find that there's a centralized way of submitting these applications. And also within the system, we should be able to have a way in which an applicant can be able to track where the application has reached. Then, of course, like I said earlier, that we use the experts from the National Medicines Regulatory Authorities, whom with the partners who have trained. So sometimes some of the work is delayed because they're equally busy, and sometimes they are constrained within the regulatory authorities. Then what I partly mentioned earlier, that within the National Medicines Regulatory Authorities, you find that there is a disparity in terms of their capacity. So for example, you'll find that if you go to India, Uganda, you find that they have a very good quality assurance lab. But when you go to the Republic of Burundi, you find that there's no lab, and they are depending on the mini lab. Also, in terms of the staffing, you find that some of the regulatory authorities are really strong in terms of the staffing and expertise. But then we're looking forward, we want to see that the regulatory authorities which are very strong should be able to pull up those ones which are quite weak. Go to the next one and the last one, I think. Yeah, so I was talking about the challenge of funding. So we decided, when we received the last grant, it was on condition that we come up with what we call a sustainability plan. And indeed, when the grant ended, they said, fine, you must be able to sustain these activities. So we decided to come up with a fee structure, which was approved by the Sectoral Council of Health And we're going to submit this to the Council of Ministers, and that meeting is going to happen on the 22nd of this month. So I propose that our applicants do pay some fees to facilitate the process, not to enable us to make profits, but to make the process continue running. So if somebody, for example, submits an application and that person wants us to come and do joint inspections, this money which they pay should be the ones to facilitate the inspectors to go and inspect his industry. If somebody submits an application, a dossier, this should be the fees which should be able to support that process, where we bring the experts together. First of all, we share the dossiers with the technical experts, do the evaluation, and then we are called for a joint plenary where we look at those reports and then we take the final decision, because we cannot continue depending on partners. So it's very important that the pharma industry looks into this, and then we are very open to discussions, because we want to do this not to frustrate the industry, but we want to see that it's a partnership which can enhance access for medicines for our people. So we want this to work for the EAC, and we want this to work, because when we talk about the EAC, we are talking about the pharma industry. So we want this to work for all the stakeholders, so that we see that the stakeholders can thrive, but also the systems are efficient and they guarantee access to quality medicines for our people. And as you can see, the print is a little bit small, but as you can see in that, in the fees which are suggested, we tended to favor the local manufacturers by seeing that most of the fees which they will be able to pay are kind of 50% of what the outside manufacturers will be paying. So this is kind of a summary. So I think go to the next one, and I guess probably this should be my last slide. I am not sure whether I've exceeded the 7 minutes, but if I've exceeded, my apologies. There's a lot to talk, but the time is so limited. But I'm sure that we shall be having many of these webinars, and also we shall be open to questions. And also I will be sharing my number and email so that we can continue the conversation and people can be able to ask more questions and get more clarifications. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to briefly talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julius. That was quite insightful. Very interesting to see the sustainability plan you have in place for EAC MRH, the pathway. Moving on, so for the participants that have questions targeting Julius, please use the Q&A section to be able to ask them, because we don't have time to ask questions in between the presenters. So we'll take all the questions at the end. So moving on to the second presenter, that is Diana. And in the interest of time, I won't be able to read all the entire bio. So I'll just be able to mention where they are currently working and the position that they hold. So Diana Njiu is the Regional Technical Officer at East Africa Community Medicines Regulatory Harmonization. And she'll be taking us through the in-country process of Tanzania Medicines and Drug Authority. So Diana, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Diana Njiu, and I'm working with the Tanzania Medicine Medical Devices Authority. So I'll take you through the navigating the EAC MRH recommendations, the experience, the challenges, and the opportunities. So for Tanzania, once we receive the recommendation at the EAC MRH level, and the issuance of the recommendation letter after our joint assessments, in which each member country participates in the joint assessments, we take the recommendations and they pass through the technical committee, and this committee is responsible for advising the Director General. So in case of any issue or any concern, the technical committee review and provide their recommendations. And at the end, the Director General provides the approval of the medicine registration, for example, and follows by the issuance of the medicine registration certificate. And all this process involves the timeline of 90 days. All this should be done within 90 days. And this is categorized under the priority medicines in our client service charter. Next slide, please. So there are a number of challenges and also opportunities. I'll take you through some of them. which have highlighted them. So some of the key challenges include varying regulatory capacities and resources across the member states. As we know, this is quite a challenge in most NMRIs. We have regulatory capacity gaps, and the difference in the capacity of the national regulatory authorities hinder the uniform implementation of the MRH decisions. So this may be experienced when some of the directives, maybe if they reach the country levels, they are not easily implemented due to these different capacities and resources. So there may be some situation where there is insufficient funding, infrastructure, and also human resources. For example, even the number of employees is quite a challenge to most of the NMRIs. And also there are some challenges such as complex harmonization of the existing national regulations and standards. Somehow the legal and the policy maybe differ in different NMRIs. So the variations in the national laws and policies may also make the harmonization procedure difficult. And also the complex registration processes within the NMRIs. So due to different requirements and procedures in the member states may also create the delays in the medicines approvals. For instance, for us, we have technical committees in which they have to review, but in some countries, maybe they have a different procedure. So this may create some variations from the time when the product was already recommended at the EAC level and the implementation at the individual NMRIs. And also like the where each country has to issue the certificates, their own registration certificates for medicine registration, also GMP certificates, whereby the applicants need to go and follow up for each member state. It may also implicate to some more time. And also the issue of limited technical expertise in specialized regulatory areas, for example, the bioequivalence or complex molecules, biologicals, may also contribute to some challenges. The issue of the infrastructure gaps for effective implementation of the MRH initiatives, as Dr. Julius has highlighted, there is issue of lack of an integrated system, whereby there is also issue of the challenge of data sharing and the confidentiality aspects between different member states. So this also may be one of the challenges between the member states. As also highlighted, there is also issue of the funding sustainability for long-term regulatory operations. This is still a challenge in most NMRIs and also at the EAC level as well. There are different opportunities from the EAC MRH, whereby being a part of the member state in this program, there's enhanced regional collaboration through standardized procedures, guidelines, and policies. For example, we've managed to develop a number of documents, guidelines, and SOPs in which they've been like the example of the sole standard for each member state. For example, the EAC compendium, in which each member state uses it as the standard requirement once they want to review the documents for medicine registration within their countries. And also being the part of the EAC MRH, we managed to benefit on the faster market access of the essential medicines across the region. For example, in Tanzania, we have about 129 registered products among the 150 recommended applications that have been registered in Tanzania. But due to some different issues, the other numbers may have not been registered, such as maybe the applicants are still finalizing some of the issues, such as the GMP compliance. The challenge, the opportunity for knowledge sharing among the member states, the ones with high capacity, with those which are still need some more capacity building. This is one of the opportunity. And also there is increased investor confidence in the regional pharmaceutical market. And there's also potential for expansion to other regulatory areas and health products. For example, in future, the EAC MRH is looking forward to extend to the areas of the medical devices and the IVDs as well. Next slide, please. So how can the industry in the EAC countries actively engage and contribute to this process to maximize its impact across the region? So we urge the industry in general to play a crucial role in strengthening the EAC MRH program by engaging strategically with the regulators and the regional bodies, such as having active participation in the policy development. Normally, if the documents are prepared, the guidelines, the policies, we urge them to contribute and provide their expertise if they're involved, or if there's any public consultation, and provide feedbacks on the draft guidelines, and also advocate the streamlined processes that maintain quality standards, and also provide collaborative capacity building. For instance, there are regional center of excellence, there are a number of trainings which they are normally publicized there. So we urge the industry also to provide active participation in collaborations, and also provide partnership or support on the areas of technology and infrastructure support, such as partner in implementing electronic submission system and databases. For example, in future, we are aiming to have the ECTD, for instance, so we expect the industry also to get prepared and provide support into these advancements, and also contribute resources to strengthen the digital infrastructure across the member states. And also for the regional market investments, we urge them to develop pharmaceutical manufacturing capabilities in alignment with the MRH standards. So this should not be on the side of the regulators only. So even the industry should get prepared to demonstrate commitment to quality and compliance across the region. Example, the good manufacturing practice compliance of the manufacturing sites in which they source their products. Next slide, please. So in a conclusion, the path forward for the EAC MRH is one of the member states. The successful implementation of the EAC Medicine Regulatory Harmonization require coordinated effort from regulator, industry stakeholders, and healthcare system. So we expect the collaborative partnerships, the continuous process improvement, and the regional integration. So by addressing the challenges through the multi-stakeholder engagement and leveraging digital technologies, the EAC can establish a model regulatory system that ensures quality, safety, and efficacy of medicines while promoting regional economic development. So thank you very much. This is my last slide. So I believe we'll have a chance for question and answer for more elaborations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. That was a great presentation. Moving on quickly to the second speaker, I can see that time is not on our side. That is Robert from National Drug Authority of Uganda. He is the focal person of the EAC MRH Joint Evaluation of Medicines, of Medicinal Products, Directorate of Product Assessment and Registration at Uganda. Robert, the floor is yours. The slides are coming up for you.
Thank you, Lucy, and thank you, Diana, for all that you have already highlighted. And my focus is going to be on the processes that occur at the national level here in Kampala, the process of implementing a positive regional recommendation. Next slide. Basically, when we go through the EAC joint dossier assessment, and at the end of it all, we come up with a positive recommendation, because we as assessors, we all participate. It is in our best interest that that product gets onto the market as soon as possible, and it is in our best interest to register it as soon as possible, because we have already invested resources there and we have already done the work. And the process back at the national level is very simple. One, we verify some of the particulars, and then we present that product for consideration by a technical committee, which is the Committee on the National Formulary, and then the board of the NDA ratifies it. Now, of course, these two, the last two steps are kind of, the political bureaucracy that occur in every organization, but and it is enshrined within the law, but it would be in our best interest to actually just do ratify and make sure the product gets onto the market. I want to highlight a few administrative requirements that we look at the national level. Remember that at this time we have already extensively evaluated the technical aspects, and we just want to just check a few administrative requirements, and then we send the product to the committee on the national formulary. One is that we should receive an application. The applicant or the company should be interested in the marketing authorization in Kampala, because not all when an applicant submits for joint EAC medicines evaluation, sometimes they're not interested in all the markets. So it's a requirement that if they are interested in ours, they should submit an application, and that comes with paying the prescribed fees and the rest of the requirements. The other important thing is that they should appoint a local technical representative in Uganda, and I am sure we're all familiar with the importance of having a local technical requirement. That's in cases where the marketing or the prospective marketing authorization holder is a foreign company, and we would want them to have a legal representative within our jurisdiction. The other one, of course, we need to have received a regional acceptance or a positive recommendation, and we also confirm the LTR. These are key because these are the possible reasons why sometimes there is a lot of delay in beyond the 90 days that, as Diana stated, that we target to do all this in 90 days. Sometimes there may be a regional recommendation, but the applicant has not yet submitted an application at the national level, and they may do it a year later, and that means the registration is going to happen more than a year later. Sometimes they have not appointed an LTR, and sometimes there may be issues with the GMP compliance. Next slide. So the challenges, which are basically a reflection of the other requirements that I've already stated, and these are the challenges that may lead to the delayed implementation of a positive regional recommendation. Some applicants submit for the joint GMP inspection, but they have not, or they have even submitted an application in Kampala, but for some reason they have not applied for GMP inspection. And if the GMP inspections delay, or if it's not a positive outcome, that may cause a delay. And then the appointment of the LTR, and also the application. Sometimes an application is submitted, but the applicant may not clearly state or explicitly state that they intend for their product or the application to be handled through the EAC MRH procedure, and in that case, the application gets lost in the national procedure, which is longer. So of course, on our part, there was also a challenge of the management information system we had, in that it would not clearly flag the products that are meant to the MIS procedure, so that they don't get lost into the national procedure. And what we propose is that for us to be able to have these products registered as fast as possible, we propose that the applicants are able to should submit the applications as early as possible, preferably before the regional acceptance, and that they should clearly indicate that they intend them to be handled through the EAC procedure, and where possible, they should inform the focal person. And this is in the meantime before we get into the new IDIS system that will be able to send alerts or signals to the concerned people, so that these applications are handled expeditiously. And there was also a part where how can the industry contribute to improving well, the operations and to enhancing the impact? I would think that the industry should continuously engage with the assessors, with the technical working group, so that especially when there are queries, so that they get a better understanding of these queries and they respond to them as soon as possible, so that the whole system is as fast as possible, because the target for all of us is to get that product into the market as soon as possible, and it's the ultimate success for this program. Thank you, Lucy, and I think my 7 minutes have elapsed. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much.
Chairperson, if you can let me just a second to respond to a few quick things, because some people are not able to access the Q&A. One, my apologies for writing South Sudan DFCA, the Regulatory Authority, was written in Sudan, which I sincerely apologize for that. I know some of the things are very sensitive. And then number two, there's a question that after somebody has gone through the EAC joint process, they have to go and pay the money again at the National Regulatory Authorities to register medicine. I can say that no, you will not pay money for the joint regulatory activities. For example, if you asked for joint GMP and it's done, you don't go and pay that money again at the national level. But you'll be able to pay, you'll be asked to pay monies which are relevant for registration of medicines. Of course, some of those fees are varied depending on which country you go to. But you do not, for any service which has been done jointly at the EAC level, and you have paid for it by paying the fees as determined by the sustainability plan, you not pay that again. I wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius, for taking that question. I saw the question being posed by someone in the Q&A, so thank you for taking it. Thank you also, Robert, for that informative session that you've taken us through. For those ones that have questions directed to Robert and Diana, kindly use the Q&A, and then we'll be able to pick the questions at the end of the session. So moving on to Sabrina. Sabrina will take us through the country process at Zanzibar Food and Drug Agency. So she's the head of Medicine Evaluation and Registration Division at ZFDA, and she can take us away, please, Sabrina.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to take you through. Thank you, Robert and Diana, for the clarification, as well as to Dr. Julius. So with regard to the, can you please switch on the slide for me, please?
Yes, they're coming up in a minute.
Okay, thank you. ZFDA is one of the regulatory agency which is also control the regulatory activity in Zanzibar. So with regard to streamlining of the process, there is a local regulatory framework whereby ZFDA has existing regulatory framework for medicine that align with the EAC MRH initiatives. Also, there was in stakeholder engagement whereby it involved local stakeholders, including health and regulatory. Okay, I'm going to take you through this as outlined before, the effectiveness of streamlining of the process, success story with the use of pathway in Zanzibar, key challenges and solution. Next slide, please. So regarding the streamlining of the process, the local regulatory framework, ZFDA has an existing regulatory framework for the medicine, which was aligned with the EAC MRH initiatives. Also, the stakeholder engagement, whereby involvement of local stakeholders, including health authority, regulatory bodies, and pharmaceutical industries. Also, through this, we have the capacity building, whereby the program and capacity were built to ZFDA staffs whereby after the product has been recommended from the regional recommendation, the applicant is supposed to choose or to appoint the local agent to Zanzibar, who is located in Zanzibar, in order for the local agent to take all the regulatory activity with regard to the communication between the NRI and the applicant through the verification of particular, whereby to verify on the application which was submitted by the applicant and that of the EAC MRH. So after being verified, the technical committee is set to consider on the recommendation of this specific products. Also through this, also the regional coordination is also being done. ZFDA coordinate with other member that facilitate sharing of resources as well as knowledge, whereby the whole process of registration is supposed to take 90 days as the rest of the countries, which is agreed by the EAC MRH. With regard to the success story, there's a streamlined registration process whereby it was done by adopting harmonized guideline from the EAC. The ZFDA has been able to reduce the time and cost associated with the registration by adopting these guidelines and procedures itself. Also improve on the quality control, whereby the collaboration with the regional laboratory and standards by ensuring the medicine of available medicine in the market, which meet the safe and quality standards. Also the capacity building initiative. In this, various training program and workshop have been conducted by ZFDA staffs. Pharmacovigilance systems, more effective pharmacovigilance system which allow monitoring of adverse drug reaction was done between this NRI. Also the public awareness campaign, which helped in raising awareness in knowing what is the counterfeit drug in the market, as well as the regional collaboration success. ZFDA has successfully participated in the regional in collaboration effort with the EAC frameworks. Also, in addition to that, there is increased access of essential medicine through the EAC MRH. There is a harmonization process which results in increasing availability of access to the essential medicine in Zanzibar. Next slide, please. Okay, with regard to the challenges, most of the time applicant, they delay in appointing the local technical representatives, as well as the capacity gap. There is a shortage skill of personnel trained in the regulatory practices. Also regulatory framework alignments. There is existing of local regulatory, which may be fully aligned with the harmonized EAC guidelines. Also, the other challenge is stakeholder engagement, whereby the complexity of engaging all relevant stakeholders, including pharmaceutical industries, healthcare providers as well. The other challenge is infrastructure challenge, which is insufficient infrastructure, including laboratory for quality control, supply chain issues, as well as the access to technology. It also the public awareness and education, whereby there is a lack of awareness among public and the other adopting new regulatory practices. The issue of monitoring and evaluation mechanism, whereby establishing effective monitoring and evaluation system is not in place. The other thing is counterfeit and substandard medicine, whereby significant risk to public health. So for solution for this is public-private partnership, whereby there must be established collaboration between government and regulatory bodies, as well as capacity building, where to invest more in trainings in order to capacitate the program for regulatory authorities, research and development to foster innovation by supporting research. Moreover, the information sharing to create a platform whereby the sharing of data best practice in order to make sure the products which are circulating in our market are safe, effective, and of good quality. This is I believe we can overcome this by having ECTD in place. Also, for the applicant not to delay in appointing the local technical representatives. Yeah, next slide. I think this is my last slide. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. That was quite informative. Moving on to our last speaker, that is Dr. Dan Moin, who is the Regulatory Officer at the Pharmacy and Poisons Board in Kenya. Dr. Dan, over to you. Juliet, please let me know if you can be able to present that presentation, or I do it from my end.
Please do, Lucy.
All right. Can we bring up the slides for you, Dan?
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lucy. And thank you, my colleagues, for the forward. I think there are a lot of similarities between our process, the process between our countries, and also the challenges. I'd like to request we go first to the first slide kindly, so that you can pick it up from there. Yes, so one thing that we all appreciate is that the EAC route, or the joint assessment route, is a reliance route, and the whole point of reliance is to leverage the experience and the personnel, so that we can have expedited review of the dossier or the applications that are made. And the ESC route, I think it's one of the oldest, especially the ESC joint assessment within the continent, is the oldest, one of the pilot, and it has really borne fruit in assisting for products to really come quickly to the market. And as PPB, we are committed to using this reliance routes, and it's supporting ESC and other initiatives that will be able to bring products quickly to the market. Next slide, please. So one of the things I'd like to point out, because what I'm giving is a country perspective of what happens post recommendation at the EAC level. That is, the technical experts have met and have gone through the doses and have given it a recommendation for approval. Now, that now comes back to us at the country level. And so here there are two scenarios. The first scenario is where the application at the national level predated the application at the EAC level. So those two will definitely be handled differently. Then we have the situation where the application at EAC level predated the application at the national level. And let me start with the first instance. With the first instance, what we do as PPB, and you can also visit our website, I think I'll share that in the chat, is that we have a guidance for reliance. And also, reliance is instituted in our compendium of medicines registration. So it will give all applicants a guide on our ESCV process, and also we are revising that guideline. So it's going to have more details that are more pointed to help the industry to know how to apply through ESC. So for an application that actually predated the ESC, so it meant it went through the national route. And because of that, we have to go back and almost fish it out through the number of dossiers or applications that have been made. And because of that, it tends to take slightly long, although our timelines as per the other countries is 90 days for reliance-based reviews. But this requires us to fish that out. And one thing that we take is we usually use the ESC approval letter, which the applicants can submit or we usually use the minutes that we get once we know that a product is recommended. We go through our database and we check which products have gotten EAC approval and which are in our system or have been applied for, and then now we fast track them through the EAC route. So that is one. So that route, it has a bit of challenges because one thing you have to appreciate is the EAC route of course goes through a number of cycles of review. So you notice that the dossier that has been approved at EAC level is not equivalent or exactly the same as that which has been approved, that which has been applied at national level. So we use a verification procedure, which is according to TRS 1019 Annex 6. And we just go through quickly. It's an abbreviated review, much shorter. We just confirm the critical aspects of the dossier if they are equivalent to that which we have received. And most times we have to ask the applicant to update their dossier to be exactly as that which has been approved under EAC. The other route now, the one which the application at the approval at EAC predates the national one, it is important for the industry to know that you have to select the EAC route, because that will make it very easy for the person allocating to know that this is an EAC application. So once you're making the application in our RIMS, there is an area where you select which route you're going through, national EAC. If you're using WHO, so you select the EAC route, and that automatically will flag in our system. We'll know this is an EAC application, and now we'll be able to look at it through its merits and fast track. So some of those requirements that we require for such is either a letter of approval from EAC, or if we have the minutes, we can do that. And then we have to again still check if the dossier submitted is similar at EAC level or national level, and if not, we will we raise a few requests for additional information. And then now what is very important for GMP for approval is the GMP valid, and I think here is where we usually face a few challenges, because it's either assessment of GMP at national level, assessment of EAC at joint assessment at level of that it was done, or it can be through reliance, that is through the WLAs. And so that comes with a bit of challenges, which I have highlighted also. And also we confirm the application fee, and as PPB usually requires still that we receive some samples. And then in case there are any country-specific labeling requirements, we might also ask that these be updated. But all in all, the EAC route will give you a more targeted, concise review of your application, and it actually aids or fast tracks how quickly the product can come to the market, because you do not have to go through the whole dossier as we usually do. So in terms of success stories, definitely we've had shortened regulatory timelines, especially for the second case where the application at EAC level predated the national level. The application review times have come quite shorter. Again, during the screening stage, some of the requirements, we do not need to really push upon them, because that will be handled under the verification procedure. And also we waive a few requirements for some documentation, because this also is handled using our verification procedure. So next slide, please. So one of the key challenges I think we faced, and one thing I'd like to point out is that at PPB we have an open door policy. It is open for any applicant to come and request for further information or knowledge. Our office is always there to assist. But one of the challenges we faced is that at times the MRH would assume that once you have the EAC approval letter, that it will lead to automatic national approval of the dossier. So we have to, on our side, to ensure that the application at EAC is the same as that which has been submitted to us. The other challenge is once we have requested for additional data, at times it takes quite a long time for the applicant to respond. And that's why you find that now the timelines go beyond the 30 days, not because of the regulator, but it takes maybe some time for the applicant to respond back. And I think this is one thing Dr. Julius has also mentioned, the integrated RIM system. Currently, that is not there. It's not possible. Otherwise, it would have been easy to carry out some information sharing. And my colleagues have also pointed out the issue of data privacy and confidentiality, which we know our national laws across the EAC region are quite different. So it might not be quite easy to handle that. And of course, the bigger one that we are facing currently is the valid GMP. So you can have a recommendation for approval from the EAC MRH, that is Joint Assessment for Medicines Evaluation, but there is no valid GMP. Without that, we cannot also approve that application because those two processes are supposed to go parallel. So what role can the industry play in that? Number one, we continue to advocate for this pathway, and we continue to request that if possible you can use it, because if you're intending to market under the EAC region, it is easier than going to each country level. So it is much more beneficial for you as the industry to use this route if you're planning to go to at least two countries in the EAC region. The other thing, ensure that all submission requirements at the time are met. So with that, just refer to our guidelines, note what we need, and submit all requirements so that we can be able not to have a back and forth on the same. And also, as I've put it out, you can easily consult with us if you're having any questions or challenges, or if there are any questions that are coming up during screening, just reach out to the PPB drug registration department, and we'll be able to clarify on that. And this one, in case during the process you knew that you had applied using the national route and you want to switch to EAC, also the same thing, you can also reach out to us so that we are aware, and we can put it under our portfolio profile so that we can be able to track your application. So I think that is my last slide. I know there's some opportunities for Q&As, and I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dan. That was quite insightful. And for those that have questions for Dr. Dan, I think now is the time. But before, I would like to pose some questions to the speakers that we have. And I think I can pose both, and then they can take them one at a time. So there are noticeable disparities and delays in national medicine approvals. What are the key factors contributing to these inconsistencies? And how can we address the challenges to fully leverage the benefits of EAC MRH? So the one who will take this question is Dr. Dan, and from TMDA we'll have Felchisim, I believe. Yes, Felchisim. And for the second question, given the need for life cycle maintenance of the product post-registration, because currently I believe there's no route for post-approval changes through the pathway. So are there any plans for managing post-approval changes under the EAC MRH? And if so, what is the progress so far? And what potential challenges do you foresee in this? And how can you mitigate the challenges effectively? Julius can take that question, and I believe Falchisim as well. So we'll start with the first question. Dan, Falchisim, who wants to go first?
I can go first, then allow my senior to come in. So yes, I think this is something you've noted, and also you could be able to see through the metric tool in terms of median time for each NRA. There's quite a big difference, and the biggest factor that's pointing out to this is legal limitations or legal variability between member states, and this, I think that one is a bit difficult to handle because it has to go through the various parliaments and approvals for that to be harmonized. And then the other thing is the country requirements. I think in the course of the presentation you have noted we have quite a varied way of handling these recommendations. And depending on the complexity of the method used, it can take a bit longer for an approval to be received. So what can be done to address this? And one thing is I'd like to urge is the industry. It's very important to understand country requirements, have those well versed out, knowing what NDA requires, what PPB, what TMDA requires, and ensuring that all those are in place by the time you're making the application or the follow-up, so that there are not many issues that arise due to that. So with regards to procedures and processes, I think this is still something maybe on our side we can look at on how we can harmonize our approach, but due to the legal limitations, it might not be as simple. But the best thing is for once you understand what each country requires, make sure all submission requirements are met and up to date by the time of submitting your application. So thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dan. I think
Can I chip
purchasing.
in?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lucy. My name is Felicissimi Apolinari. I'm from the Tanzania Medicines Regulatory Authority, Tanzania. And thank you for the presenters and Dr. Dan for the brief answering of some of the issues related to the first question. And I would like just to express myself in this way. When you come into the delays on the approvals, we have the two ways. We have the regulator side and we have also the industry side. Both of them, they have a key roles to play in order to come up with a fast approval, and not only fast approval, but to ensure that at the end the product is of safe quality and efficacious to our patients. So both of us have the key role to play. In that line, then we find that in the greater side, some delays, of course, can happen, as alluded by other speakers, that in the workforce at the NRI is inadequate compared to the number of applications they are receiving. So at the end of the day, we can find that there are some delays in attending those applications. By the way, we have a advanced pathway where we can see how we can fasten these applications based on the fact we don't have to double the work which has been done by the other regulatory authorities or another EAC. So another issue we line with the NRS is, as there are already issues of the legislation, differences in the levels of capacities, and have the clear policies, guidelines, procedures, and SOP, because we may have finalized the product from the AS level, coming down to the approval, to the NRI, but the applicants, they don't know how to go about the particular NRI. There's no any procedure. The applicants are really not aware. So I think we as regulators, we need to put a procedure which is explicitly and is available to the applicants so that they can know once the product is finalized, if I go that way to a certain NRI, these are the basic issues we need to address and not maybe all. So these things I think we need to establish. I don't know, we can have a template like an SOP how to handling these products being assessed by the EAC, how we can escalate down so that it can be common all over the NRIs, despite of the differences in the settings of the NRIs and levels, but we can have a certain common approach on how this can go smoothly down to the NRIs. So those are some few issues that I just wanted to point out. And in the other hand, on the industry side, when you're comparing the AEC submissions or maybe the national submissions pathways, there is issue of the data credibility, data integrity. This really brings us to the issues that brings to queries, questions, a number of rounds, which may delay registration. So the industry has a key role to play to ensure that the data which are submitted to the NRS, they are credible and they have gone through and actually search for this data is satisfactory before they submit. But you can see some of the information submitted is just submitted, just dumping, which really creates some of the queries, questions which sometimes industry can shout out. So as the industry, because they are experts, they should make sure that they are complying with the requirements, so long as the requirements now are the common code of AAC. And globally, the requirements are common because we are all adopting this CTD format, the WHO guidelines, which of course we have adopted or adapted in most of the areas. Another challenge which may delay is issue of the skills, inadequate knowledge and skills, not only to the regulators, but to the industry also, to go through the technical documentation. I understand we as Africans, we don't have manufacturers, maybe of the API, and also the few FPP. But if the dose is coming from abroad, or even from here, I don't think we have really adequate expertise to go through the documentation and to make sure the document is fairly complete. It may not be 100% complete, but fairly complete in terms of when you say the manufacturing process and control processes of the API, the manufacturing and control process of the FPP, and the bioequivalence data which are being presented to the applicant. And so before submitting to the NRI, I don't know if they have regulatory experts which can go through the documents and satisfy that they are complete. I doubt that, I'm not sure, but I'm doubt that they just receive and send to the NRI without looking at it critically, so that we can assess and minimize the number of rounds of questions which eventually delay the registration of the products. And those are my few issues, and my colleagues have addressed some of the issues, and thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, First Jason, for adding on to what Dr. Dan had already mentioned. So moving on to the second question, I think maybe I can start with Julius and then move on to
thank you.
Jason in case you have anything to add.
You had asked whether this joint program will be addressing the issues of post-approval changes. Maybe before I make a comment, I want to request before we end the meeting, you give a chance to John Patrick, my colleague who works with me at the EAC, to just make a wrap-up comment on all the issues we have discussed. We're debating whether I should have been the one to present, or now that I have presented all the questions are asked, but I would love to have him also say what he has been in this process for quite a long time. So what I wanted to say is that, yes, indeed, the program will be addressing post-approval changes. As you can see from also the sustainability plan provided for variation and there is a fee for somebody to pay for it. So if somebody has registered medicine through the EAC procedure and maybe there is a variation, there is an opportunity for that to be addressed. But I must also add that within the plan, this MRH process, we plan to really address all the product modalities through the entire product life cycle. But not only that, we also plan to see that we build the capacity so that we can be able to take on applications for all the product categories. That's really, really important. Especially, and this is going to be even more effective once we start implementing our sustainability plan, because we shall be having our resources where we can be able to build our capacities and be able to do our work as we wish. Because the challenge we have been having is that when you depend on partners, you don't do what you wish, you do what they think you should do. And then there are limitations also in terms of how often you can do what you want to wish. That's what I can say. Maybe my brother Felicism can add on to that. And then eventually, maybe after the Q&A, you give Mwesige John Patrick an opportunity to say what. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julius.
Yes, maybe I can add on.
Sure.
Just to add on. Yes, thank you. We have the common guidelines for handling post-approval changes, which is the same across the EAC. And each NRI, I believe that they have implemented that guideline. So the changes are, so we have that common guidelines, which does not provide disparities between the NRIs. So those are the common, which is one step actually. We were just thinking, of course, this is under the EAC Secretariat, if the variations, the products which are coming through the EAC route, the variations can be handled at the EAC level, so that once they are approved, they can just smoothly escalate it down to the NRI. Maybe that's the next step we are thinking, and maybe Dr. Julius can further comment on that, so that once they are approved at the EAC level, they can just cascade it down to avoid this one application. Of course, variation application can be launched to different NRS, but different assessment, different maybe views, and it can bring some inconveniences, delays to the manufacturers. So we believe we'll come to that second step where the variations will be commonly handled at the AAC level and cascaded down after approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Feltism. And I think you captured the question that I posed very well on whether the variations can be handled under the EAC MRH and then cascaded down to the NREs. And with that, what challenges do you foresee in implementing that on your end? Maybe John Patrick, if you're able to take that question as well, please do.
You, Rose, and thank you, colleagues who are participating online, attending this meeting. As mentioned, my name is Amos John Patrick, and I'm happy to be here with you again. So, Rusi, if I go to your last question, is around how the partner states are supposed to be handling the post-approval variations or changes that come with the already registered products. As my colleagues have already mentioned, both Julius and Felichism, if I remember very well, this was addressed at the regional level, and we have a guideline on that, how it should be done. So it will be the matter of partner states, NMRAs, to implement the guideline. And again, building on what Fritchism has mentioned, most of the technical requirements across the partner states are almost the same. We are all drawing these technical requirements from WHO's established guidelines and technical guidance that we have all adopted. And where we find that there are slight variations in terms of the requirements or technical statements and write-ups, we have always tried to make sure that this is a harmonized process and it is implemented across the partner states. Maybe what is still a bit of a challenge, as mentioned by Dan in his presentation, and I've also continued to hear from our sister Sabrina and our colleague from NDA regarding some of the aspects which I thought we had addressed this issue, but still it seems it is in the discussion. The issue regarding the RTRs. This we had Aproneri, if you remember very well, I remember from the region what was addressed was that we needed to have one representative in the region, not each partner state having a technical representative representing the manufacturer. You can imagine now we have 8 EAC partner states. So if this manufacturer or the marketing authorization holder is to have a product in all the partner states, they need 8 technical people in the region, which at the end of it all, then the cost of employing and running these offices and making sure that these people are in the countries, this is again put on the cost that our patients are bearing. The argument was that at least the marketing authorization holder should be having one representative in the region and then would be covering the aspects of those marketed products, which I think technically should be fine, because not this person is going to be involved in on daily basis on those products regarding to the issues and the challenges that come with the registered products. But even if they come, we think and we thought that one or a single technical representative would be quite sufficient to represent the interests of the marketing authorization holder, but also the interests of the region. I can see Julius seems is raising a hand.
I
Yes,
was
you can see
waiting for
that.
you to finish. I wanted to make a comment on Reliance, but you go ahead. I'll make it final when you have finished.
Thank you so much. Maybe I should also be very fast as we are getting a bit late. And then there's again across the NMRIs. This one also was addressed that TMDA being the lead NMRI in terms of registration, receiving the applications, the same copies of the application should be submitted to the NMRIs rather than the applicant again going around submitting different applications. Only what we thought would be different would be the administrative area. That administrative section would be only the difference between the NMRIs, because the requirements, technical requirements or administrative requirements are a bit different from the NMRIs based on their legal framework that existing. So still we don't expect changes in the technical dossier submitted by the applicant. This should be discussed further and see how it can be addressed. And the other thing that I wanted also to talk about was about the benefits that we are benefiting from this initiative across the EAC partner states, being the first on the continent and now others coming up to run from the EAC. what we are seeing currently that there are other moving aspects which are also going to be benefiting from the work of EAC MRH. An example, we are currently working towards implementation of the pool procurement mechanisms in the REC, but also at the continent level we have the African pool procurement mechanism that is being discussed. We have currently we are developing again the Africa Continental Immunization Strategy, which again is going to draw or run lessons from and benefit from the work of EAC, MRH, and the MRHs across the continent. So we think the capacities that have been built, the systems that have been established, including now that we are starting to implement the sustainability plan, all these should be tools to help the region, but also shape the work of the continent, including the work that the African Medicines Agency will be doing, because there will be sharing of work between the RECs and the AMA. There will be again sharing of the work between the NMRIs at the national level and the RECs level, and then going back up to the AMA levels. These are the few things that I can share with you. But I would also like to wish in the future to see if such a meetings we can also have the industry represented. I know the network represent the industry, but we need to have real manufacturers who have these questions and who have the issues, such that in this discussion, then they can either run or we can exchange ideas and views. That's how we can improve a bit more, much more faster than if we have our meeting and also they have their meeting. They will discuss their challenges. Also, when we are here, we discuss the challenges. Then the meeting may not be that very much easy. If there is no any other question for me, I may wish to request that I stop from here. But again, NMRAs need to discuss on the issue of the RTAs. The RTRs is a big challenge to the industry and may not be adding any additional value by having technical representatives in each country. If you talk of the continent, then you need 54 either offices or people that are representing manufacturing facilities. So this can start from the EAC and then we can escalate it even to the continental level to make sure that we have either you have the RTRs at the regional level. If we have 5 RECs, then each marketing authorization holder on the continent has 5 or 6 people who are overseeing the work and the products that are being marketed on the continent, because we always put ourselves in the shoes of the patient who is buying these medicines. All these costs go to the patient who is consuming the medicines. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, John Patrick, and also thank you for the feedback in ensuring that the industry also gets a voice. I think next time what we will do is to add a speaker here who is representing the industry, but also for the participants that are here, if you are representing, if you're in a LTR or even a multinational and you've used the pathway before, this session was also meant for you. So please keep your questions coming. We will start taking them. I had mentioned that this session might be longer than the usual sessions that we've had before because of the nature of the presentations. So please bear with us. We will now move on to the questions that have been posed by the participants. And I can see that the speakers have done a very good job in taking some of these questions. So thank you for the speakers that have been able to chip into the questions that have been raised. I see Diana has been there, Dan and John Patrick as well as Julius. So thank you. And there's a question here posed by Ravindra. Sorry, Julius, I see your hand is up. Please go on before I read the questions that have been posed by the participants.
Yeah, I wanted to respond. There was a question which is that the EAC MRH plan to consider reliance. The answer is yes, because we know that reliance is one of the most cost-effective things we need to adopt in order to enhance access to medicines. We know that there is already the WHO collaborative registration procedure for products which are approved by the stringent regulatory authorities, the EU Medicines for All program, the Swiss Medic Market Authorization for global health products. So we really need to take that up because we know that, first of all, it guarantees not something we doubt. Those stringent authorities are not something we doubt in terms of guaranteeing quality of the medicines. So there is no reason not to do that. Then also we are planning to have to develop a reliance framework between the regs, and I'm sure this will attract the industry so much. We had a meeting with the GAD, and this is specifically interesting because you'll find that the countries the membership overlaps. For example, you find that the Republic of Kenya is a member of IGAD, and then also is a member of the EAC. So if the Republic of Kenya, the technical people go and do the joint registration process there, and then they give approval, and then just the immediate neighbor, Uganda, says that, you can't take up those medicines. So we're working on a framework. We can't just simply say that we rely. There must be a framework with what information needs to be shared. And then if we reach that point, we are very confident that it will attract the industry, because it means that if your product has gone through the joint registration process at the EAC, then you can be able to market your product, for example, in SAFRA or in IGAD, and it really cuts costs. So the answer is yes. We're planning to develop those frameworks, and we should be able to reach there in the near future. Thank you. Then also within that, there's always a question which is asked that, for example, GMP, I invited the Republic of Rwanda, they have done the inspection. The Republic of Uganda, individually, they have done the inspection. So what happens then? Because usually, even when we do the joint inspections, probably you send the 3 technical people representing 3 countries. But now the 3 countries have done it independently. So what do we do? So we're considering all that so that we can be able to cut the cost for the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julius. I think those initiatives are quite interesting, and I hope that you will be able to implement them, because you can see the cost for the industry is also something that people have raised in these discussions. So there's a question by Julie. Could you please highlight the different roles of NRAs during the registration process under EAC MRH? I don't know who will take that one. Maybe, or also to inform the participants, there's also someone from the GMP in the room. In case you have any questions with GMP, please raise them as well. Julius, I see your hand is up.
I was going to lower my hand, it kept up. I don't know, maybe somebody from the NRA can respond to that.
That's okay. Diana, do you want to take that maybe?
Okay, yes, I can respond. The NRAs, they participate in the EAC MRH registration process by joint assessments. So it means they provide their inputs during the joint assessments, their contributions, their skills to give the outcome of that particular application. And also, they also participate directly into GMP inspections. They go visit the manufacturing facilities which they produce these products, and if they find them compliant, and then the facility will be given the approval. In addition to that, the NMRAs in different aspects, such as in PMS activities, they also follow up how the product is behaving in the market. They participate in the post-marketing surveillance activities, and also the pharmacovigilance activities of that particular product that has been approved. So the joint assessment and the GMP inspection these are the active groups. And also there are different organizations still going on for the PMS group and also for the pharmacovigilance groups. But still, all these are still organized under EAC MRH, but also within the respective national regulatory bodies. Thank you. Maybe if others have to add to this.
Thank you, Diana. That was well addressed. Anyone who has anything to add on to what Diana has mentioned? Okay, so if there's none, Ravindra asks, does EAC MRH plan or consider reliance on SRAs like USFDA, EU, MHRA, and SAPRA? Valchisi, maybe you can take that one. Robert, go ahead.
Thank you, Lucy. We already implement a number of reliance mechanisms in our joint medicines evaluation, even in the joint GMP inspection. So we rely on the WHO, on the decisions of the WHO listed authorities, and we have a guideline that is available, or guidelines that are publicly available on that. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you so much.
Lucy, maybe again to inform the participants from the NMRA is that reliance is one of the requirements or highly recommended technical aspect in terms of those NMRIs that are aspiring to be maturity level 3. You cannot be maturity level 3 without a clear framework on reliance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Just Lucy, to add a bit on reliance, because we as the regulators really we want to embrace reliance because of the limited resources we have, especially the human resources. So reliance is our model. I can say reliance is our model, and we are going to expand reliance, as Mwesige said, that for those NRS who are the maturity level 3, we are going to see how can we rely each other, because we believe that the maturity level 3 NRS have systems and the systems and the processes which are really the implementing, and they can provide records. And in that particular sense, if we are going in the same path, on the same way, so we need now to see how this help us on the ground on our daily activities. So we are going to expand reliance, by the way, to the maturity level 3 NRIs, and we as TMDA we are now communicating with those NRIs and to try to have the MOU on how we can initiate and implement these reliance mechanisms across the many processes, including the GMP, market authorization, pharmacovigilance, issues like that. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. That was quite informative, Valchisi. Robert, please let me know if this is a new hand or it was an old hand.
Oh, sorry, it was legacy hand.
All right, no worries. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Do annual retentions, and as we are taking on the questions, I would encourage everyone to join the Menti. Would want to get to know how you found this session and if there are any other topics that you believe will be relevant for us to discuss in such forums. So please go on to your Menti. The code for today is 56 59 33 47. My colleague will also share it in the chat. So 56 59 33 47. And as we continue taking the session, please let us know how you found this session. So the second question, the other question we have is, do annual retentions, are annual retentions still in the scope and to be maintained in NRAs under EAC MRH? That's Ravinda. Anyone who wants to take on that question? Yes, Valchisi. Hello? Valchisi, you can go ahead. I saw your hand was up.
Yes, thank you. I was muted. I was saying that yes, the issue of the fee structure is lies to the NRIs as not the obligation or the responsibility of the EAC. So is upon the specific NRIs to see how they can they can do the activities based on what they collected from the processes, from the services they offer. So that one, it might be it's different from one NRA to another. I know some NRA don't have the retention fee. Probably they have higher the registration fee, or maybe they have another type of fee. Something like that. For we Tanzania, we have the retention fee, which cuts across the issues related to maintain the product life cycle during the validity of the marketing authorization, which includes but not limited to the pharmacovigilance issues, which we don't charge, to the PMS activities, to the inspections, and so forth. Thank you very much. And yes, thank you. I'm over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Feltusim. I can see the responses are coming in. Thank you. Please continue giving your responses. I'm trying to see if there are any questions addressed. So Francis asks, is there a law that can prosecute these professionals? If the LTR is in Kenya, can they be prosecuted by a law in Uganda? Not sure who is willing to take that question.
I don't know. The question is not very specific. If somebody is in another country and commits what crime, and what then happens? I think I see Robert Sana, but I think it will depend on the country laws. But if somebody is a professional is in Kenya and he commits unprofessional conduct in Kenya, I would imagine that a Kenyan law would be able to deal with him. I don't know under what circumstances he would be prosecuted in another country. But I think the question was not very, very specific also. I don't know whether any of my colleagues has had that experience and can give additional comment. Thank you.
All right. So thank you.
Maybe to add something, which is like a question again. In which circumstance will the RTR be prosecuted apart from the marketing authorization holder? Since the product belongs to the marketing authorization holder, the other person is a technical person representing that particular marketing authorization holder. Maybe, as Julius mentioned, that needs to be very clear.
Okay. So I see Francis has provided a bit of background. You mentioned regional LTRs. In case of a dispute, what law applies? So I think that was was part of what he was asking before. For the regional LTRs, in case there's a dispute, what law applies?
In case we have a regional LTR, we have regional processes.
Sorry, come again. I wasn't able to get you clearly.
We have regional processes, we have regional instruments that can handle in case there is a case against a particular person. But what I was insisting on is that the RTR is representing a marketing authorization holder. So in most cases, whether it is a product issue or it is this and that, questions go to the marketing authorization holder. The RTR is to represent this marketing authorization holder in terms of technical aspects, but not legal aspects. When it comes to legal issues, then it goes to the marketing authorization holders. But for Apollinaire can give us a live example if they have faced anything like that, then they can share and we run from them.
Thank you, John Patrick. Apollinaire, go on.
Really, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure, but I can, from my perspective, personal perspective, maybe I can say, I think the person should be prosecuted in the country where he commits a crime. Yes, maybe the security system, the police, they can, so long as we have Interpol, they can communicate and bring the person to the country so that he can be prosecuted according to the country's law. That's what I'm trying to make some assumptions. Thank you. Over to you.
But also at the level of the EAC, I would say that the law which is guiding the EAC as a regional economic community is the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community. So if there is a dispute, and that dispute is interpreted to violate the treaty, then somebody can go to the East African Court of Justice. I've also noted that some of the disputes which are handled at the country level, sometimes people are not satisfied, but if they touch on the treaty, then somebody, I've seen people coming to the East African Court of Justice. So it will depend on the nature of the dispute, what level, in what context is that dispute? Is it more at the country level, or is it a dispute which is more of a regional issue? And then somebody will have to look and see where the dispute can be taken. Of course, if it is a legal issue, because some of the legal issues which have a country, which touch country issues, can still go to the country courts. But if there is a dimension touching on the regional, the regional economic community, or if there is a violation of the treaty, then somebody can come to the East African Court of Justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julius, for adding on to what John Patrick and Feltism have already contributed. Are there any further questions before we come to the close of the session? I see from the chat and also from the Q&A, all questions were either addressed by the speakers on the chat or they've been taken up right now during the Q&A. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to the question that had been raised. I think the question had been raised in the context of the possible challenges of having only one regional LTR for all the 8 member states. And in some countries, for example, here in Uganda, an LTR is not only a technical representative, but is also a person, an attorney, someone given a powers of attorney. These companies are legal representatives, and they're legally liable for anything that may happen post-marketing authorization regarding the product. So they are given powers of attorney, and there is a legal process that is involved, and they can be prosecuted by law here in case they violate some of the laws that are related to that product. And I think the challenge is that the participant was trying to point out is, can you prosecute a company that is not incorporated in your country? Can you prosecute a foreign country and a foreign company? Usually it's challenging to do that for marketing authorization holders when they are foreign countries and they have no presence within the country. So I think there are a bit of challenges which can be further discussed, and we may also involve our legal teams to advise on how can it be possible, and to cover all the risks that may be involved in having only one LTL. For example, you have one LTL who is in Mogadishu, and there is a challenge with the product in Kampala or in Dar es Salaam. How do you quickly enforce the promises that they have made in the marketing authorization application. But I think it's something that can be further discussed, and we would involve our legal departments and see if it's how it can be best implemented. Thank you. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Robert, for the clarity. I think I quite understand the perspective of Francis better with your input. Sabrina, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Lucy. So just to add with regard to Robert, with regard to the LTR, this is also will help us for the post-marketing surveillance as well, and for pharmacovigilance. This will be easier access on us to follow up on the product after marketing, after being marketed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. And Francis, I think you now have, wow, okay. Yes, John Patrick, go ahead.
Sorry for dragging the people around, and I see it is already getting late. Regarding the RTR, this issue, as Robert has mentioned, yes, you can proceed and ask the lawyers to see exactly what would be their point, the opinion and point of view. But what you should also advise them as a technical person is that these RTRs that we have in all across the partner states, including Zanzibar, if you have to have 300 marketing authorization holders, and then you have 300 technical representatives in your country, including Zanzibar, these are charges that go to the consumers. An example I can give you a good example of how the countries are working. You have one ambassador based in Nairobi representing about 5 countries. It does not mean that this ambassador does not represent the countries because he's based in Nairobi, and he's the same ambassador of Spain, maybe to Rwanda or DRC and whatever. You have heard of these aspects. So we need to see why don't you think Spain can have ambassadors in all countries? It is because of the expenses. They look at the expenses. You cannot have a representative in each and every country. And then later you can even draw down to go to those big countries where you have federal governments or this and that, like Nigeria. You cannot have an ambassador in each federal government because it is a big country, or that's how it is. That's how the political process is. What we need to do is that we need to advise also on the technical part, that we need to make sure that the processes we are in or the system that we established, they are pro the people accessing medicines at affordable prices, and then the NMRIs can be strengthened to do their work. Thank you.
Thank you, John Patrick, for going in depth about that. Sabrina, your hand is up again, I believe.
Oh, no, sorry, I did not take it out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the information that you have shared. This is now to the presenters for taking the time to be here, sharing your expertise with us and walking us through the experiences of the individual NREs. For the participants, thank you so much for the patience and also participating in the Q&A session. If you have any further questions or topics that you believe we should discuss in such forums, please share them with us. And for the questions that are towards the EAC and the individual countries that maybe you've not been able to ask in this forum, I think during the email with the resources that we will share with you, we can be able to also share the emails for the NREs so that you can ask the questions there. And I want to give each presenter about 30 seconds to give us a parting shot before we close it off. We can start with Patrick.
Again, Rosen.
Yes, I was hoping that the... Sorry, come again.
Proceed.
Yes, I was hoping that the speakers can be able to give us a parting shot in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, what I can say myself that I am grateful to this organization and organizing such a meeting that brings together the technical people to discuss on matters that concern our people and also our people, which is very much appreciated. Then the last point I can say that we next, as I said, we bring in the industry to work with us, and then we understand what their needs are too. Thank you.
Thank you, John Patrick, for keeping it short and sweet. Moving on to Julius.
Yeah, thank you. I also want to just express my gratitude to you for bringing us together and everybody who has participated in this process. I only want to say that our meetings, probably, if it is possible, we could set like a regular schedule. Could say, can we probably meet maybe after a specific period of time? And then we share the areas we want to discuss. And also we pick the points. There should be points carried forward on the when we discuss like this, and that should be shared so that it helps us to grow. So like today's meeting, we should be able to discuss key issues which have been addressed. And then for all of us here, I think we all agree that the joint medicines regulatory harmonization process is the one what is really good and relies those two key things. So I think all of us should be advocates for that at every opportunity. We need to look and encourage the industry to come on board, to come through the joint registration process so that they can be able to reap the advantages of cost cutting and so on. Because we know that if the industries go through a low cost process of medicines accessing the market, it also means that our people will access medicines at a low cost. Those are my key issues. Regular meetings, we can set standard timelines, and then every meeting we need to pick up what critical issue has been addressed or what we have agreed to do with that issue. And then all of us become advocates for the joint MRS process and the issues of reliance to enhance access to medicines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julius. I think you've really picked up on key issues that I think we also wanted to implement on our end in terms of what the industry has been able to point out as critical areas that need to be addressed to the EAC MRH based on this webinar and the webinar that we had last week. And we'll be able to share that with you, Julius. And also thank you for the continued collaboration. I see that you're also proposing that we do periodic sort of discussions like this so that you can be able to improve on the value of the EAC MRH process itself. Moving on to Felchison.
Thank you, Dr. Lucy, and I'm really thank you for bringing us together in this forum. And I believe that in future we'll collaborate more on providing advocates to the requirements and collaborate with the industry so that we can have a common understanding of the technical requirements, so that at the end of the day we have a completely credible and authentic submissions, so that at the end of the day the registration, marketing authorization of the products will be faster, and the products will be available to our patients, which of the good quality, safe, and efficacious. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Felchison. Moving on to Diana.
Okay, thank you, Lucy, for this wonderful opportunity and discussion with the team. What I got from this session is that you initially said there were more than 200 participants that registered for this session. So it shows our stakeholders are still fast to learn more about these processes within our regulatory industry. So we, as from NMRIs and from the EAC MRH program, we are urging the industry to continue collaborating with us. We are very ready to listen to their concerns and clear all their doubts. And we hope for further future discussions in future sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana, also for the continued support. Moving on to Sabrina.
Thank you so much, Lucy. I'm very happy to be part of this forum. I just want to add the industry to continue collaborating with us so that we can have a common understanding in order to have a timely, quality, safe, and efficacious medicine in our market. We are really thank you for this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sabrina. Dan, moving on to you, and then we'll close off with Robert.
Thank you, convener, APN and Dr. Lucy for hosting this important forum and for all participants. And it highlights truly that the importance for all regulators as a pillar of having transparency, accountability, and communication. And as it's been put forward, I hope we continue to engage. And my parting shot, I encourage all of us, all the industry, and also us regulators to embrace reliance pathways and to openly and freely consult on any matter so that we can be able to facilitate access to medicines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Robert, saving the best for last. Go on.
Thank you, Lucy, for gathering us and also for leading us through this conversation. And I think this will have a positive impact on improving our processes. And we shall continue to discuss some of the suggestions or issues that came up, such as, is there a need to submit copies of the dossiers in all the member states if we can access the updated copy from TMD and the rest. And we urge the industry to continue engaging us and interacting with us in when they're preparing their query responses and in other situations, so that we can get the target, making sure that the product gets into the market as soon as possible. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you all for this opportunity to collaborate and taking the time to be here. We wouldn't have been here, we wouldn't have had all this knowledge if not for you and your expertise. So thank you for your commitment, for your sacrifice. And for the participants, thank you for your patience. I know I've kept you here for so long. And also thank you for participating in the Menti session. With that, I come to the close of the session, and I wish you all a lovely evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, team. Sabrina, how are you? You are doing well? How are you? Sound is gone.
I think she has not unmuted. Sabrina, your mic is off.
Oh, I'm saying it was nice meeting you, Masiga. It's been a while.
Hey, how is Zanzibar?
Zanzibar is good.
How is my elder brother, Bruhani?
Dr. Burani, he's doing well. He's here.
Na wengine wako
Salamu
salama.
Salamu kabisa. Yeah. Okay.
Baba watatu.
Baba watatu, he's also good. He's in Dar es Salaam now.
Okay, that's good.
Sawa.
Sawa, asante wasalimie.
Okay, asante sana.
Sawa.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Lucy. Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrina. Looking forward to working together again.
Same here. Thanks.